Good morning, this is Deborah Matthews, Vicar of Verwood and Three-Legged Cross, with my thought for today. Well, the gardeners amongst us will know all about the weeds which grow up looking healthier and stronger than all the precious flowers that we have so lovingly planted. I'm not that great at identifying all the plants in my garden. My method is to pull up anything that grows really quickly and doesn't have much root. And of course, that means that occasionally I pull up plants. There are also times when I spot the odd flower growing amongst the brambles, and so that's my excuse not to deal with the whole weed patch. It's all very well to pull up the odd weed, but when the whole flower bed is full of brambles, that's a job for someone else. The trouble is that by next year, the brambles have got even bigger, and they've got an even bigger stronghold. So we do all need to deal with our brambles. Of course, all the soil preparation that we do to encourage the growth of the good seeds naturally encourage the weeds as well. And some people would say that weeds are just plants in the wrong place. But in Jesus' story, it's more serious than that. He talks about the tares that grow up amongst the wheat, and they looked the same until they had started to take hold, and by then it was too late to pull them up without disturbing the wheat. So the advice was to leave both to grow together, and then when harvest time comes, to cut them both down. The wheat into the barns and the tares into the bonfire. In this parable in Matthew's Gospel, the good seed is sown by God, and the weeds are sown by Satan. And although, like all parables, this is not a literal event, it makes a very strong point. But I believe that it is not quite so cut and dried. There are very few people who are all evil or all good. And so for me, that's where the analogy breaks down, because tares cannot become wheat. But people are different. People have got the chance and the ability to change. When we turn away from bad influences and our moments of weediness, we can become wholesome and fulfilled, like an ear of wheat or even a beautiful flower. Well, none of us really wants our lives to be filled with weeds, but they grow in us when we're not paying attention. Our lack of generosity or kindness can allow complacency and selfishness the space to spring up in us unnoticed. If we turn to God each day and reflect upon our day, we will be able to root these things out before they get too deeply embedded. But we can't rely on God to pull out our weeds if we're not willing to let him. We have a part to play. God knows us, and God knows the good and the bad in us. And if we are willing, God will lead us towards the good. If we look at the stories of Jesus in the Bible, we will find that he spent a lot of time with people that the world had written off. They may have been considered as weeds at the time. But when they met Jesus, they learnt how to be the wheat. They were the ones who stood by Jesus and spread the gospel of good news. Well, God intervenes in the lives of people today, just as he did then. His compassionate intervention into open hearts can be seen as a weed suppressor. He helps us to nurture the good seed within us, and the more we focus on him, the less room there is for the bad seed to grow. It is not our job to make the final judgment about tares and wheat, or good and evil. But this parable illustrates the truth about good and evil existing alongside each other. We are not called to be naive or to dismiss evil as insignificant, because it is not. But don't ever give up when things go wrong. Open your heart to God and put your trust in him, and you will be prepared when the angels come to reap the harvest. So have a good week, and God bless you.